I got a chance to I put a manifested out to universe. I'm trying to find my COO for me. Um, I'm on the train heading to Wales for the Oasis show, and I'm goofing on my wife, and the dude sitting next to me is
Wait,
just
time out. How
cracking
was
up.
that show?
It was the most epic thing. I mean, it's just in my brain and in my head all the time. I want to go back. It's like if that's what heaven will be like, that's what I hope heaven's like. It
Yeah,
was it
my
was it was
oldest son is
spiritual.
going to see the London show.
Oh, good for him. Okay, cool, cool. They're spot on. They're the most pro I've ever seen, and the voice sounds great again. And but I met this dude, and we're just we just merged like crazy, and um, he he goes, well, we're talking about what I do, and he's cracking up because I love learning about new industries and new professions, and I'm just cracking him up about how chiropractors can be the most like party type people, and he's like, never would have thought that, and
Right.
he's like, well, I'm the COO of Hard Rock Casino, like, what the fuck,
That's
and
funny.
so I got to spend 2 days with him and his team and learning what they do, and it just blew me away how the KPIs that they look at and stuff. So,
Yeah,
anyways, I'm glad we could continue our conversation and do it in kind of the public facing, and
yeah, for sure.
um, we met through social and through some conversations I was having with some other people about the chiropractic roll ups and for the podcast for the spin session, if you don't mind. Can you give me the scoop on your origin story? And we're talking to Dr. Stewart. Uh, Give me your origin story on
Yeah.
ChiroOne and
You
just
want
your life. Yeah,
do you want the long version or
I
the
want the
unabridged
long.
or the abridged? All right.
I want the long.
Yeah.
I want the full details.
Yeah, for sure. So, super excited to be able to have this conversation, and I'm just gonna put this out so we don't forget to come back to it. Your most recent blog post was so relevant.
Oh,
In
the
and
one about
around
the skeptic one,
no, around
or
100% Cairo.
oh yeah, I do want to talk about that with you. I want to get your take on who he is,
And
like, because I got a
my
lot of
my
shit.
story, yeah, my story will actually lead to that.
Okay,
So,
okay, cool.
I was 10 years old, and I know you come from Cairo heritage, right?
Yeah,
I have no chiropractic heritage, right? So
you you didn't
I
get
was
beat
10
up
years
then in
old,
school in the '80s.
yeah,
Yeah.
and my folks had a pizza restaurant in Chicago, and so I grew up in the restaurant industry. And in 1977, they had a second restaurant, much smaller one that they'd added to their brand, and we used to drive supplies from the main restaurant to the smaller restaurant and back and forth. So I was sitting in, and if you can imagine, it's the 70s. So we were in the family station wagon that had 100% real simulated wood on the side. I'm sitting in the back seat, and my grandfather, who was an immigrant, first generation immigrant, didn't speak a whole lot of English. We were in the alleyway waiting for my mother to come out, and he just turned over his shoulder and said, "You should be a chiropractor." And had no idea what a chiropractor was. 10 years old. My so drop that conversation. Every Sunday, I have an older brother. Every Sunday, my mother would drop us off at the public library,
Okay.
and it was our job to grab a couple books, and then she would pick us up, and typically we would run around the library and screw off, and in the final minutes before my mom would pull up, we'd grab some books, right, for the week. This week though was different. I went in and I went to the card catalog when there were still card catalogs, and I looked up chiropractic, and there were two books.
Okay.
One was a technical guide, a governmental guide about the profession,
Okay.
and the other one was a philosophy book. And I never got past the epilogue, the opening of the book, because in the opening, it pretty much laid out the philosophy, right? It talked
Yeah.
about the power that made the body, heals the body. It talked about chiropractic removing interference and working with life force and that full expression. And I was hooked from the word force.
Mm.
So I'm 57. So in 1977, I was a 10-year-old kid, and that was also the era of the first Star Wars.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
like, done. Like, I'm going to be able to work
Man.
with the Force. And so I set up my entire life from that time forward to be a chiropractor.
Why did he turn around and say you should be? Where's that? What
Yeah,
happened? What
decades
was that?
later, I never had shared this story, but decades later, my grandfather had long passed, um, and I was having this conversation with my folks, and they were like, he'd never been to a chiropractor,
Okay.
and so my old man said maybe he meant chiropodist, which is an old term for podiatrist.
Okay.
So it could have been very possible that I would have been a foot doctor had I heard it properly. But
Yeah.
universe was speaking and set it in stage. So fast forward, came out of school, was super lit up about chiropractic,
Where you went to
and
Palmer? You went to Palmer?
I went to Palmer. Yeah,
Okay.
did my time in Davenport.
What was your
Um,
experience like there?
um, I loved going to school. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a Midwest kid, so I looked at
Did they
Logan.
have did they have the frats back, like the Delts and the Pies back then?
Yep,
Or
sure did.
okay. Were you part of either
So
one of them?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I went and visited Logan. I went and visited National. I went and visited Palmer, and the minute I stepped on campus at Palmer, I'm like, done.
Yeah.
Right? It was there. That was a real golden era of every figurehead that was alive and in the field came
Mhm.
back to Palmer
Mhm.
regularly,
Yeah.
and Reggie Gold. I my very first homecoming, I had met Guy Reekman. And from that stage forward, became best of friends. He's my neighbor now. Just you name it, they were there, right?
Mhm.
So Sid came, often on campus. Fred Barge regularly, and I just got filled up with chiropractic. And I jokingly say, I did my time in Davenport because it's not a beautiful place to live. Certainly
Yeah.
not in the 80s.
I didn't know how ghetto it was there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like I
yeah.
didn't. You didn't. I wouldn't think that. But so you got you. Don't, but you don't take your time as you got out, as many say. You did your time, but you enjoyed it still.
Yeah, no,
And
I never, never looked back at that with any regret.
and then did you? So what did you become associate? Did you start out? No, give me the scoop there.
I had a field doc in Chicago that I had preceptored with, and very interesting story. My life could have gone so many different ways. I graduated right before I went to Palmer. I did a eight week backpacking trip through Europe, and started in the UK and made my way through, France, Spain, Italy, Greece, and fell in love with Italy. So
Yeah.
I was gonna go and practice in Italy. Lined up a job. I actually went in my late trimesters and went to go visit a job opportunity there. And I talked to two of the associates, and they both said the same thing. They're like, "You do not want this job. It's horrible. The pay's erratic." I'm like, "Shit, I'm here." So I called up the Palmer Career Advancement desk, and it was this older blue hair lady, Lois Peterson, that manned it. And they used to have index cards in an index card box with job opportunities.
Oh
So
wow.
I was like, Lois, I need any job opportunities in Italy, and will you read me off? You know, no faxes, international.
Yeah.
Will you read me off any Palmer alumni that are in Italy?
Yeah.
So I just started to go visit docs and asking for, you know, do you know anybody who might be looking for an associate? And I found a guy who went to the old school in the UK. I don't remember what it was called back then. And it seemed like a perfect fit. And I set everything up. I got my work permits. He found a place, you know, a room for me to stay in. And about 4 or 5 weeks before I was getting ready to leave, he called me up and said, "Hey, I just want to be straight with you. I'm going through a divorce, and I don't know how long I'll be able to employ you."
Nice.
So I'm like, "Well, let me give it some thought." The doctor who I was preceptoring with was also going through a divorce and had a second practice, a satellite clinic, and he said, "Why don't you just stay and take over this practice, see my patients, and build your own practice?" So
Wow.
you
Okay.
could use my practice. I'm
Wow.
gonna You service my patients, and whatever that brings in will be your rent, and build your practice. So that's what I did. It was
Holy
a
crap.
small, shitty practice on the sixth floor of an old medical dental building, and you had to know where you were going to find my office. Like, it was down a hallway, down the
Yeah.
second ancillary hallway. And once I ripped through friends and family because it was in the next town over from where I grew up, I sat in that office uh, empty 90% of the time, right? I
Yeah.
used to bartend and wait tables on the weekends. My first year of practice, I made more money bartending than I did in practice. Somebody introduced me to a one of my first chiropractic mentors who was not a chiropractor. His name was Van Kerrigan, and this great story, right? So a cable salesperson walks into my office to sell cable advertising,
Oh, cool.
right? And so
Yeah.
this was 1993,
And you're not
and I
and you're
was
and you're not busy at all, so that might have sounded like the greatest thing in the world or the scariest
right.
thing in the world.
Yep. I had no money.
Yeah,
And
okay.
he's like, "We'll produce a commercial. You know, you'll be on TV." I'm like, "Sounds great. I need something. I need a silver
Yeah.
bullet." And I asked for a couple references, and he gave me three. First two doctors said, "Nope, they haven't followed through. They never produced a commercial. It's been months." The third doctor said, I don't even know why I called the third doctor, right? But I did. Her name was Kathy Huffnagel. Called her, and she said, "I wouldn't do it." The same story. And she
Yeah.
goes, "But if you're looking for help to grow your practice, I have someone standing right here." And she handed the phone over to Van
Wow.
Kerrigan. And he had this
Just,
really
just
deep,
by the way, his name sounds epic. Anyway,
yes,
I
and he
feel this
was.
right away.
He had this deep voice, and you know, he used to Van Kerrigan, Carrigan, and he was kind of this big, robust guy with a beard. And I spoke with him briefly and made a time to meet. and we
So
met at
he
a
was he coaching her at her
he
office when
was
you called at that time? And he okay,
yeah
cool,
yeah
okay,
so he was coaching,
and not a chiropractor.
not a chiropractor. He coached attorneys and chiropractors and medical doctors, um, and just had a consulting practice.
Got it, got it. Okay,
So um, I was feeling like crap the day I met him. I had a
yeah.
bad cold, fever, and we sit down in a restaurant. I ordered, tea, and he had maybe 3 martinis through dinner, right?
I
And
like
probably
this
a
guy
couple glasses
already.
of wine.
I like this guy a lot already, dude.
And he asked me, one of my earliest lessons, what are you looking to do? I said,
Mm.
well, I want to be busier. He said, great, I'll come in with my wife on Monday, and you could see us and you'll be busier. And I'm like, no, 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 I mean busier. He goes, okay, well, I'll bring my children also.
Wow.
And, he was getting to, very, you can't have these subjective
Yeah.
wants, right? And so we objectified exactly what busy meant. And he said, so if you achieve that, right? So I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was a visit goal with a financial goal. And he said, so if at the end of 1 year
Yeah.
you have exactly what you desired with that, right? Exactly what we defined and you desire, will my job have been done? And I was quiet because I didn't know exactly how to answer that. My mind
Hmm.
was racing. And he said, and listen, we may or may not meet regularly. You know, if we do, if we go have a cup of coffee once a week and we buy our own coffees, and you pay me monthly, and at the end of that time, at the end of the year, if you reached your goals, did I get my job done?
Mm.
And I went fucking crazy. Like, my mind was like, well, what are you going to give me? How much time are you going to spend with me? How am I going to get there? And he just said, that's not what I asked you.
Hmm.
If you get to the end of the year and you achieved your goals, did I do my job?
Hmm.
And I said, I'm going to have to think about it. And he said, well, whenever you're ready, I'm here.
Hmm.
We finished dinner. He never called me again. I struggled with that question for about 3 or 4 months,
Hmm.
and it finally dawned on me that I was outcome motivated. In that conversation, I was process motivated, not
Right.
outcome motivated.
Right.
And I finally got it that all I really wanted was the outcome. So I called
Yeah.
him up and said, I'm ready. I don't even know what you charge. And the agreement is to get me to my goal. And I wrote him the first month check, which was $1,500, and he disappeared for 2 weeks. He didn't pick up his calls, and I'm like, I've been totally duped. I didn't know he actually went in to have a bypass
Oh wow.
surgery. He calls me a couple weeks later, and my practice exploded.
Yeah.
And we became very close friends. We'd meet every week. He'd have me videotape report of findings. He'd have me videotape my exams, and with a big VHS camera, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, certain things. I'm like, well, how would I do that? Like, so I'm gonna stick this camera in a room with a patient? He goes, yes. And this is how you would talk to the patient to have them be okay with this. And, just really taught me how to communicate at a complete different level. So the product didn't really matter. Pointed me in a lot of directions for growth. And
Well, I want to just go
about,
number one. That would have
yeah,
been. I just first of all, you're pretty much broke at that time. I'm right. I mean, that
Yeah,
would have been $3,300 today. That's some which in our industry and profession, that's a good chunk today. It's a good 1,500 is a good chunk today still for someone to invest in a consultant, coach, or mentor. You exploded. It doesn't happen without you. It's a collaborative co-authorship, obviously, and he knew
for sure.
so what did he unlock in you and allow for you to see? And I'm just curious on that.
So our initial agreement was that I would do whatever he wanted me to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so assuming it was
Which every
ethical and
coach
legal,
wants. Yes, yes, yes.
right? And one of the things, and I still use this today, he goes, "Let's define what willingness is."
Oh, this guy! I love this guy. Is
Right?
he? He's passed. He's passed,
He
hasn't he?
has passed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, most people define willing. Most people are willing to do something when they're willing to do it." Right? So if I say, "Hey, Tris, let's go grab a beer
Yeah,
and let's go hang out with some chiropractors," you're like, "All in. I'm in."
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And he said, "That's not willingness. Willingness is the ability to be willing when you're unwilling.
Mm.
Like when you don't want to go do something and you do it anyway in
Yeah.
order to achieve the outcome that you want."
Mm.
And that was one of the first foundations he led. I need you to be 100% willing. If that means putting on a banana suit and holding a sign in traffic, I
Mm-hmm.
that's what I need you to do. So you have to have implicit trust in me to go do it. And so I'm an excellent student, and I agreed to it, and I did everything he asked me to do. And to answer your question, what it unlocked is I had a yearning, and I found my mission while I was in chiropractic school. Actually, reading Tony Robbins' first book, Unlimited Potential, and from that point on, I had decided that my mission would be to uncover and express my full potential. Like I wanted to pull as much out of myself as possible.
Mm.
And that seems like a really selfish purpose, because it's about me, right? And I struggled with that for a bit. And as I years of having that in my head began to see, the more I express of my full potential allows other people around me
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
grow with that. And
Yeah.
that's still true today, right? That's still been our my personal mission, vision, and the company's vision is unlocking people's full potential, like putting them a choice to express their full potential.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
you blast off, then success starts pouring in. We're heading into the 2000s, I guess, right? You have consistently number like you're in and shit's going awesome, but I'm assuming then as everything gets better though, there's always more new problems and challenges
I
and
mean,
scalability, right? Like
yeah,
that's the thing, right? What do I do
yeah.
now?
So quick recap of that: '94. I was in a 500 square foot practice and busting at the seams. My landlord was gave me a 90-day notice to leave the building because I used the hallway as my waiting room and the hallways to do exercises, patient exercises,
Hey,
and
you utilize your capacity and utilization.
yeah. So Van said, "Go find a practice to buy and move your
Yeah.
practice into it." And so I blindly called on ads, and I get a Dan, can't remember his last name right now, picks up the phone, and it's got a southern drawl from Texas, And he's like, well, what are you looking to buy? One practice or multiple practices? I said, well, what are you selling? And he said, well, I have four practices, and they were on the south suburbs of Chicago. And 6 weeks later, I bought those four practices.
Wow. Nice,
And
dude.
didn't really know what I was doing. Borrowed a lot of money from I got some money from my folks, and then borrowed the rest from a bank, and that was a wildly successful failure.
Okay.
So um,
How fast of a failure?
it took about 4 years
Okay.
before I'm like, screw it. I liquidated. I sold a couple of the practices. I
Was it a failure because it was too many at once, or what give
Yeah,
me
they
the
were
reverse
personal. They
engineer.
were. I didn't know what personal injury was. They were PI practices. The accounts receivable didn't get sold with them, so I didn't have any cash flow.
Got it.
I had cash flow, but not enough to support the payroll.
Yeah.
So and I was 2 year veteran, knew nothing, and super cocky, and the universe certainly humbled me.
Yeah.
I sold 50% of one of those practices to one of my current partners while he was still at Palmer, so he hadn't even graduated. He
Mm-hmm.
and I always say he was smart enough to know. Well, he was dumb enough to buy the practice and smart enough to not buy the whole thing and keep me tied to it. So when I was coming out of the multiple practices, I went into my own practice and decided to get back to practice and really master the business of chiropractic.
Okay.
And that practice exploded, 600 plus PVs. We were doing probably million and a half, million six a year of revenue, a single doc office, with just a couple CTs and rocking and rolling. And he saw that, and he came and he's like, well, if you could do it, I could do it. And he used to take the drive from Davenport to Chicago every week and spend 2 or 3 days in the office with me and then go back to Davenport. He graduated, went into practice, and he pretty much duplicated my practice in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so he convinced me to open up a couple more practices. He's like, well, if I could do it, we could teach other doctors to do it. And so, kicking and screaming, I went and agreed finally. We opened up, I don't know, we helped probably 6 other doctors get offices open. Another one of my partners came along who had actually worked and helped Ben and Greg Lerner.
So
Greg
what
Lerner.
year is this?
This was um, early 2000s.
So back then, um, were the dudes at the time, like here, you're how old are you then?
Well, I was 22 when I graduated, so
Third.
I was in my 30s.
You're young comparatively. I mean, still in that state. So, is there a bunch of like, who the fuck are you guys to think you can? Like, was there a lot of that still even without social media back then?
100%.
Okay,
100%.
just curious. It's like, okay, now who the fuck are these guys teaching these guys how to? Yeah, I'm just like I could feel it, see it, sense it.
Yeah, we're by and large haters, right? I don't think it's a chiropractic thing. I think it's
No,
a
it's
human
dude.
nature.
I'm doing a meme. I just watched a clip of Mick Jagger. It must have been the '80s, and they're asking about Spandau Ballet and Depeche Mode, and he, and I love. We were just talking about Oasis, and I love every band that Noel Gallagher and Liam Gallagher would say they're the shit. They're awful. Everyone's all. And I'm gonna do a meme about being in the bar at a seminar, and you're talking about other chiropractors with this Mick Jagger thing, where he's just going, they're horrible, they're awful, and they should know. They know they're horrible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're absolutely right. I'm just the that turn to go, because there's been you know in this story you've been sharing, it's all about the decisions and turns. I'm gonna go be with Van. I'm gonna take action there. I'm gonna take action with It's like these are scary oh shit moments, right? Like it's scary to put yourself out there and put your dick out there and be like, oh, now we're good enough to teach. Whenever I see someone do that, I'm one of those dudes that's going, okay, they got irrational confidence at least,
Yeah.
which gets you
Right.
so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. Like, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
some of these decisions were, it's a great story. So I get to 2005 and I have these total of 7 practices. 6 of them are running on their own. I'm still practicing full time. I hired a couple associates, and I wake up one day and I'm like, I don't want to go in.
Mm.
And that had never happened before in my life.
Were you
Like,
edging towards not loving doing that,
well, that
or it
was the
just happened?
first. That was the first time, and
Okay.
I'm like, fluke, right? And then just every day, I'm like, I was dreading going into the
Mm.
office, and I called up one of my mentors, John DeMartini. Um, I said, John, strangest thing, I don't want to practice anymore. And he goes, well, are you leaving chiropractic? I said, no. I my values don't
Mm.
align with waking up every day on a schedule to go and be tied to seeing patients.
Mm.
And he goes, well, what are you going to go do? I said, I have no clue. I just know that I don't want to do this. And I spent thousands of dollars of coaching with him to get to an answer over about a 14, 15-month period. I'd call him up and he'd say the same thing every time. He goes, well, until you love where you're at, you'll never get to be where you love to be. And it was such a paradox for me. He goes, like, I don't want to be here. I want to be somewhere else. And he goes, well, until you love where you're at, the next thing will never show up. And I sat
Mm.
with that. I'd call him up and I'm like, I just don't get it. He goes, I'll take your money. I'm just going to tell you the same thing. And it finally dawned on me that I got it. And I just, again, willingly dove back into practice. And then, like that, I saw a plan.
Yeah.
So that's where ChiroOne was born. I had a doc, 3 doctors, Sherman grads, that preceptored with me. Again, another fortuitous thing. They walked into my office one day, and my partner Sam Wang said, "We're going to preceptor with you." I'm like, "No, I'm done with preceptors. I'm done with
This is
having
Sam.
doctors
Sam was a
shadow."
pre. Sam was from Sherman because we're gonna preceptor with you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you? Did you? Were you? Did you speak at Sherman? How did they find you? Like, or did they?
They were. I coached with CJ, and they were in the
Okay.
the student coaching with CJ
Got it.
Marks at the time.
Okay. So they're seeing
And
who the success. Got it. Okay. That
yeah,
connects. Okay.
yeah, they wanted to come to Chicago, and they reached out to CJ and said, who's got the largest practice in Chicago?" And they showed up on my doorstep, and I was emphatic, like it was an emphatic no. I'm like, I'm done. Because I used to open up the doors to my practice to
Yeah.
anybody who'd want to come in and shadow or watch. And he insisted, and the very first day he showed up, I'm like, I made a big fucking mistake. I should not have given in. He was telling me how to adjust patients on day one. So I sent him from the adjusting table to the front desk and made him pull travel cards and file travel cards for two
Good for
weeks.
you. Good for you.
Um, so
Again,
I called,
irrational confidence, though.
yeah,
Irrational confidence.
yeah. I called Sam up and said, hey, well, he actually called me up, and they went off and did their own thing. Um, they opened up a practice. 3 docs opened up one practice. made all the classic mistakes. They were all AO docs. They bought 3 Atlas orthogonal tables. The X-ray setup. They were swiping their own credit cards to survive. He came to me and asked me for a loan. I'm like, no, I'm not going to give it to you. Like, it's the best thing I could do for you is not give it to you because you're just going to rip through that money. So go
Yeah.
figure it out. And they did.
Yeah.
So a couple of years later, they had 5 practices. Sam called me up and said, hey, I'm opening up a practice down the road from you. Just courtesy notice. And I said, great, congratulations. And he said, well, maybe there's something we could do together marketing those 2 practices. They're in the same area. They were less than a mile apart. So we met for lunch, and I had a completely ulterior motive called let's throw, that was going to be their 5th practice. And I said, let's throw our practices together and build something great.
Yeah.
And we spent 6 months, 6 guys spent 6 months in a basement planning every reason why not to do ChiroOne.
Got it.
And we had 2 major outcomes that we fell upon that made it worth all the risk. So those 2 outcomes were, 1, we wanted to define chiropractic for the consumer. So we wanted to be, as chiropractors, you hear patients coming in saying, why was I never not told that? Like,
Your guys'
why did my last chiropractor not tell me?
core belief was standardization of some format, right?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Right. And then,
What did you guys? Okay, what? Bring me into that room. What
Sure.
was standardization to you guys? What were you shitting on? What were you going? We're doing really. We see the light. What?
Yep.
What? Give me that insight.
We were running very family-based subluxation back offices, right? And they were corrective care offices, and we believed in 3 stages of care, therapeutic, corrective, and wellness or maintenance, and we believed in telling patients how it was, right?
Yeah.
And give them the chiropractic story and let them choose. And I got sick and tired of hearing from patients, why didn't my last chiropractor tell me this? And I think we still use a set of x-rays that a patient of mine, Gene, I've got Bono. I'm on a call.
You're good. You're cool. We'll cut that out. Don't worry.
My wife runs a dog rescue, so we've got a lot of dogs on the property today.
Oh, my wife, they would get along. Trust me. I know how good. It never. The animal rescues are just and then it breaks your heart after because they leave, and then I'm like, why do you do? Anyways, so you guys are down.
She's done over 400 dogs in the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh Jesus, dude. Okay, we'll come back to listen. You guys. So you're although it's good for your business and the utilization of people going, well, why didn't my, because you guys are telling people what, you're using a set of x-rays. So x-rays are really important to you.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by let the people, let them choose what they want versus what's the alternative? What's the analog to that for what you were seeing out there? I mean, are we talking about like you weren't putting them in a room telling them they're going to die of subluxation, right? Like not that stuff.
Well, I went through that stage in my practice.
Yeah. Well, so my dad did too. I think everyone went through that. I think at one point he was I can't remember who the guy is now. He's in PRP now and shit. What's his name? He's and he might not even be the guy. But anyways, but what you guys had a vision of standardizing because obviously standardizing creates what you've created, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what were the fundamentals.
I still today believe, right, that our product is gold standard, and that's why we decided on it, right? But the notion was we just had to decide what chiropractic was to us,
Right.
and then grow it, right? And then become the predominant provider in the market. And so whether
What is chiropractic to ChiroOne then?
yeah, so it's meeting patients where they're at,
Okay.
right? And typically the patient is has some kind of symptomatic complaint,
Yeah.
right? And patients don't want to hear about wellness when they don't feel good. They don't care about subluxation when they don't feel good.
Right.
They want to feel better,
I want to
right?
mark that. I want to come back to that in a little bit, but keep going. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Yes, yes, yes.
And I
Yeah, people don't
learned
go.
that.
We're in the problem solving business, just like that. People
Yes.
don't go. Yes, no one's coming up. I always joke. No one's calling, going, "Hey, I want to connect the above, down, inside out." I just moved to a new town. Uh, very, very rare, right? Right.
I've had one patient do that in my entire
Yeah,
career, 30 plus years, and she taught me a lot. Her name was Ricky Angeles, and beautiful woman. And I remember doing my re-exam report, which I used to do in a group, and she was patient 8 in my EHR, and she was with me for years, and she was maybe in her 5th or 6th year of care, and she was on her annual re-exam, and I had
hmm
patients that were in on their 12th visit, so there were about eight or nine patients there for the group re-exam, and I point to Ricky, I say, Ricky, why do you come? And the answer I expected to hear was, well, there's these three T's: trauma, thoughts, and toxins, and you can't get away from those, and those create subluxation, and that subluxation interferes with innate. I expected her to regurgitate the chiropractic story,
yeah,
and because she knew it, right? And that's what she came in for. And she goes, "Well, I come in every week to get checked because you told me to."
yeah,
I'm like, "Oh, Ricky, what about subluxation?" And she goes, "Doc, I get that's important to you,
yeah,
but I trust that it's important to you and that you're telling me to what to do.
yeah,
And so, because of my implicit and inherent trust in what you do, that's why I come." And I got it from there. It's important for the chiropractor, it's important for the clinical team to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. And
yeah,
then the patients will follow.
yeah. You said that people don't care about wellness when they come in. I do want to come back to that, but obviously,
Yeah,
the story of what you guys are building. I look at, and I don't know if this is, over 20 years it's been developed even more. It probably has, obviously, but you
sure.
obviously guys believe in, you do a day one, day two. So is that standard for you, for ChiroOne offices?
Yep,
Okay. And it's subluxate. You guys talk subluxation.
we do.
You said something really it and this is big in my head because I think of standardization and it drives me crazy that there is no annual exam in chiropractic because I think that's the one like it's the one thing coming from when I worked in with my ex in an OBGYN practice and I watched 3,000 annual exams come in every year and I'm going, why don't we do that? You said annual re-exam.
Yeah.
I haven't heard someone talk about that in a long time, or I don't think I have heard talk to someone about that. Tell me more about that. Uh,
Yeah. So,
every, yeah,
when a patient's gone through and reached maximum correction,
yeah,
then we put them on wellness or maintenance
right,
or supportive care, right? And unless there's a new complaint within that time period, we're going to regularly check to see how they're doing and progressing.
yeah,
We use X-rays for that. We use range of, computerized range of motion testing.
But
We
you would do
use
that annually still with them, even if they're on
yes,
wellness or so. Oh,
absolutely.
brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Love that. Okay. So
Because part of the education is you're either getting better or you're getting worse, right? You're
yeah.
either deteriorating or you're maintaining. And we need to check that. We can't assume that.
Yeah. You have patients. So I want to come back to this because this is the first year. I just got back from Detroit a couple weeks ago, and hung with some people I really love and haven't seen in a long time, chiropractors in that area, and they're talking about it being down. I don't work with them; they're friends, and I'm getting the comment like it's been slower. But the good but was that they're getting. This is the first time, and this is collective. Everyone was saying that this is the first time they're getting people. They're talking about longevity, and
Sure.
so and so there is this shift starting to happen, um, which will evolve. Everything evolves.
Let me clarify what I said. People don't care
Yeah.
about wellness when they're sick.
Oh, I no, I'm totally, I'm
Yeah.
100%. I think it's interesting. I think there's an interesting paradigm shift. I think there is traction in the data showing me that people aren't coming to us for the problem solving stuff as much because and this I might be wrong, but it's interesting that this is the first 2 years that yoga has taken over search trends than chiropractic, that Pilates has taken over search trends in chiropractic. I, People are looking for other things to solve the things that we said that we solved. I think part of the answer that we part of the problem that we created was the last 2 to 5 years. A lot of docs, and I work with a lot of docs to do this, so I'm part of the problem sometimes. I look at that, have gone to Softwave and gone to neuropathy stuff and not told and talked about chiropractic.
Yeah.
We are our own. Marketing creates awareness, and we have no real political organizations that do what other major organizations do. So we were our own sounding board, and our own sounding board was heavy on social media advertising. And when that heavy social media advertising switched to Softwave, well,
Yeah.
now that's my take, and I like to banter
I
with
don't
peeps.
I don't know that um, we're famous for going after the shiny object, right?
Yes,
You
story.
walk
Yes,
through any um, conference and you go into the vendor room
yeah.
and you know what the next shiny object is, right? Whether it's Softwave or
Red light.
Laser, right?
Yeah,
And um, we're always looking for the next big thing that's going to grow our practice when it's, the acres of diamonds are right there. It's chiropractic.
yeah.
And
You look
I'm
at
not
you look at
shitting
the
on
back
any of
room.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on any of those modalities at
So is
all.
Cairo
Those
One?
might be.
Cairo One is not using other tools.
We
I'm
don't
assuming.
not opposed to it, but
No. Okay.
our internal philosophy was we're going to keep it pretty clean because
Okay.
it's too confusing to the consumer, right? Are you an acupuncturist? Are you a physical therapist? Do you do exercises? What is this thing chiropractic? You go to 10 chiropractors, you get 10 different uh,
Yeah.
events, 10 different experiences. So the consumer's like, what is this thing? Even if they like it, even if they're positive experiences, from consumer to consumer, they can't explain what chiropractic is and how best to
Yeah.
utilize it as part of a wellness lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
funny.
what we wanted to achieve.
I was up in Arlington Heights at one of my guys' clinics doing an on-site before I left
Yeah.
for London, and I was doing testimonial videos with a patient, and she's one of the reasons she said she got vertigo. She went to the MD. The MD gave her basically two options. She didn't prefer those two options, being on medication for a long time, and she went to see Dr. Drew, and Dr. Drew knocked it out of the park. They did, and I asked her, I go, it's funny, you said you didn't want to be on medications the rest of your life, but now you're on regular wellness chiropractic. What's the difference to you? She goes, this works and it's holistic. And like, so going back to that, we know when they don't give a shit. No, they just get me out of pain when I'm in
Yeah.
pain, but they
Yep.
do care if you do the
Absolutely.
right work and transition into lifetime practice stuff that we
Absolutely.
all believe
Yeah.
in, that
And
we should believe in.
and
As my father said, if you when they patient, do I have to keep coming back? Absolutely. No, never
yes.
mind. Yeah.
Yes. No, 100%. And I think post-COVID era that the listening in the public is very open to hearing our message now. Probably
Yes.
more than ever. Like you just said, wellness was the hot phrase for the past 2 decades, and now it's longevity,
Longevity. Yeah.
right? And we fit in that market, right? We fit well into that market as long as we continue to tell the story, right? And
Hey,
again, I'm
you know,
not opposed to any of the
I,
modalities, but those are all therapeutic based, which is fine, right? But while
I
you have
look at,
that patient there, while you have that
I look
patient
at,
there getting through their therapeutic crisis, that's when you're telling them the story.
I just look at the data, and I'm not knocking soft wave or anything like that myself too. Maybe I am. I don't give a fuck. It's me. I don't give a shit. Um, I just look at the last couple of years and I go, well, what's changed in our own marketing message when we collectively have had to be our own. I get there's organizations, and I know they've done some stuff with the Olympics, and kudos to them, but not. We've never done anything really big. We've never done a Super Bowl commercial because we don't have any we don't
Yeah.
have any fucking when I'm everyone knows what I'm saying when I get here, and it's that same thing. Well, everyone's the shit and everyone's the worst. But you guys did something huge. Obviously, how many? You guys are at how many locations now? Over.
Got 160 locations across 13 states.
Okay, heavy Midwest. You got a couple wet in the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
Um, all right, from the basement to it's churning. It's not churning. That's not the right word. It's fueling and growing and firing up. Give me the last. Give me the bookends here of
Yeah.
this.
So um, this really dovetails nicely with that blog post that I mentioned that you wrote. Um, 2013, we had about 80 plus offices. We had another 13 or 14 under construction, and we got way out over our skis. And we had some bank debt, and the bank called in our debt, and we went into workout, and they forced us to close offices in order to pay off the debt.
Mm-hmm.
So we did. We after made very difficult decisions, and over pretty much overnight, like in 2 weeks, closed 45 offices, laid off a tremendous amount of work staff, and went back to work at rebuilding our foundation. All the haters came out and said, see, this
Got
ChiroOne
it.
was a sham.
Got it.
I mean, we were in publications. We
Yeah.
were, all the rumors were going. They went through bankruptcy, and I mean, all the haters came out, and we just kept our heads down and went back to work. And in 2017, our offices, we had 41 offices, were doing almost twice what we were doing with 80 offices.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought in a private equity investor. It was probably the first and probably still only 9-figure deal that was done in chiropractic. And that was in 2018. And we had 41 offices, and today we sit at 160, right?
Yeah.
And recently, I saw very clearly that I wasn't the person to take us to the 300 mark, the 300 office mark, in the time frame that we wanted to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't the person to continue to grow the enterprise. And so I convinced my board that I should step up into a chairman role and replace myself with someone who could continue to fulfill our vision.
Yeah.
And um, it was hard. It took me 18 months to find the right person. And it wasn't in chiropractic, right? It was somebody who had done it before in dental, and previous to that, he was in oncology.
Yeah.
And I had to step aside in order,
Yeah.
to put the ego aside to go, hey, you know, I need help, and that's kind of what you were saying in that blog post. What got 100% chiropractic to where they were won't take
Hmm.
them to the next level,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's I've had a handful of people that I didn't even realize I was talking about the same franchise, but and I got a lot of shit. People messaging me like, you need, I'm going, I don't know the stories. I wasn't there. I'm not. I
Yep.
don't. I First of all, I have a and how we met was about talking about roll ups
Yep.
and the
Yep.
future of what we're seeing. We're sitting at where dentistry was 20, 25 years ago, and it's an interesting, scary, weird, exciting place. All of those in one. And I'm going, look, this profession needs to bring, and part of it's my own self-righteousness and biasness, because even though I was born in this profession, I got out and I'm not a chiropractor, and I've been in software and other any other space requires other sets of eyeballs that are not so
100%.
ingrained in what you've always done. I mean, one of my greatest mentors, Jay Abraham, says to stop looking at what, if you're a real estate, don't look at what chiropractors do. If you're a chiropractor, look what realtors do to market.
Yep.
And so it's crazy that we're always like, you got to, but my point getting to this, the I think they made a great. I don't know this dude at all. Looks like a great choice. We'll see. TBD on everything for
Yeah,
something
of
like
course.
that. I'm
Yep.
not a fan of franchises. Um, I one of my buddies, Austin Cohen, who went down that road with corrective chiropractic. I shared the lesson. He goes, biggest best lesson he learned was I don't do franchise. And I think
Yeah.
most franchises get stuck in the I got to keep selling more franchises. I'm not completely 100% cognitive dissonance on this. There are franchises that do very well and
Yeah.
serve
I
everyone
could
well.
argue. I could argue both sides of that, right? And so
Yes, yeah,
I don't know
but I
if
like what
there's.
you guys are doing with private equity. So
Yeah.
that to me
So
is I think that's the play.
I think it's critical for us. I think more and more private capital is flowing in to chiropractic,
Yeah,
and I think it elevates the profession, not denigrates it. Like,
I there's scary risk of yes of the DSOs that we see. I mean, I think it creates more opportunity for people that don't go down that road because you look
100%.
at what separates, but it also validates more of dentistry has only gotten stronger and more powerful because of DSOs over the last 20. So the data
And
is there.
less than 25% of dentists are in a
Yeah,
DSO.
right,
It's it's
right.
the vast majority are in private practice.
So what would you say to chiropractors right now? I just got emailed yesterday about someone being like, "Hey, we're looking. We got the door knocking is happening more and more."
Absolutely.
I'm just curious of your insight. You guys don't buy and roll up practices, right? Or is that part of your vision for the future?
No, we've acquired probably about 30% of our practices.
So they're not all started from ground. Okay, so
Correct.
what would you say to a chiropractor going out there that might be chomping at the bits, going, "Oh man, this is my 4x to 6x that I never thought was there."
Yeah. Notoriously, most small businesses just shutter,
Yeah,
right? They just close.
yeah.
And there's um, millions of small businesses in the US that are going to close in the next decade,
Yeah.
right? All these baby boomers are reaching that age, and they've created no succession plan for their small business.
Anyone could
Chiropractic
just go
is,
into their community and just steamroll them out. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, chiropractic is no different.
Mm-mm.
And the chiropractor typically just fades away. They reduce their hours, their patient load reduces, and then eventually they just close their doors. There's now an opportunity to create a succession plan to give you the option to have a different outcome. And
Yeah.
as we see it, it's a longer term play called, hey, you listen, you're 50, you probably have 10 to 15 more years to practice, and let's create a plan where you don't have to run a small business any longer. You get to come back and do what you love to do, and that's be a clinician and be a great clinician, focus on patient care, and get back to doing what you love to do, and just let us handle the back office. And our
Yeah.
average employee doc makes $160,000 average, right? And so those are doctors that are from 1 year in practice to veterans 20 plus years in practice. Our top 5% make over 300,000 take home pay, 600,000 of take home pay as an employee, right? And so there's lots of opportunity for a doctor to begin to build durability in their practice, begin to
Mm-hmm.
scale their own practice, and then start creating value where there are buyers who will come in and buy their practice on a multiple, and then they still have
Mm-hmm.
a place to practice as an employee, right?
Player
So they
hire.
can
Yeah.
monetize
Yeah.
their asset and
Yeah.
still have an income.
Yeah.
So
What
I
you
think there's
guys
huge opportunity.
what are the opportunities for someone going, okay, what whether it's students, OD docs, give me the scoop of who you want to meet and connect with for Chiro. Like, what is the how can you collaborate with ChiroOne? How does give me
Yeah,
the scoop on that?
there's a bunch of different ways. So I used to hire every single one of our doctors, interview them, and hire them. I was the first line, and this is well over 10 years ago. And during that time period, there was never a doctor who didn't ask, can I own my practice? Right? That always came up. Today, that rarely
Yeah.
comes up. So we have
Why do you think
there
what do
already
you what do you
has
think's
been
changed?
there's just a paradigm shift. I think this generation, the last couple generations, are less money motivated. They are lifestyle motivated. They are
Mm-hmm.
vocational motivated, but they're not entrepreneurial
Yeah. Yeah.
by and large, right? And so
Yeah.
you could go to a professional school, and up until recently, you know as an attorney, you never anticipated the have to open up your own practice,
Yeah.
right? That wasn't the come from. That was, I'm going to go find a law firm that I'll have a job at, and maybe eventually I'll open my own practice.
Yeah.
Dentistry, for the last 20 years, medicine for sure. There's nobody that comes out of residency and goes, I'm going to open up my own practice. They all go into groups or
Right.
hospitals,
Right.
right? And the industry is creating a choice now. And
Yeah.
so for us, we love the young clinician, the young chiropractor who is on fire about chiropractic and just wants to be a clinician. And
Yeah.
from that
You
all the
guys
way,
you give us the systems, the team, take care of it. Yeah.
we
Let
we
me
we
just be a subluxation
train our
slayer.
doctors hard. We put them through a 90-day training program. We train them how to be great clinicians. The school's job is to get you licensed and pass national boards and get you licensed. It's not their job to make you successful. It's
Yeah.
our job to create that opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And so that's from the new clinician all the way up to the veteran, where we can create an exit strategy for them. We're not in the business of buying retiring doctors' practices. I think that's a recipe for failure. But we are in the business of acquiring doctors and bringing them through an exit planning way for them to extract value out of their practice and continue to practice until they're done.
Can I give you guys some kudos of what I love right now about what you guys are
Sure.
doing too? Because I haven't seen anywhere else, and I thought it was one of those. I am the last 2 years. I was like, I'm the only one. I'm the only one that sees this video. You're never the only one.
Yeah,
That's
of
the cool
course.
thing about life because there's always smarter people. But um, I've been saying as a marketing guy and advertising guy, there's not a problem with it's not a lead. We don't have a lead problem. We have a sales problem. And it got to me finally where I'm like, I built the program Cairo Sales Engine. I'm hiring, recruiting, training sales, dedicated sales reps. And then I see ChiroOne has you guys have sales. So when did that start? Because that just makes my heart very happy that we're
Yeah.
seeing because again, see it in dentistry, we see it in med spas, we see it in obviously
Yeah.
every other industry that's ever made it past certain levels. I have to hear the story on where this got born out of and what you guys have accomplished with it.
Yeah, we're not perfect at it. We could always be better, but it's very rare that you find a chiropractor who loves to do the financial close.
Mm-hmm.
It's a necessary step, but it's very rare that they're excited about it. It's very rare to find a chiropractor who wants to go out and do a talk or a spinal screening event. They're doing it as a necessary step to grow the practice, right? They're willing to go do it because they want the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably the least valuable place for them to be spending their time.
Yeah.
Their most valuable place is by the side of the adjusting table,
Yeah.
right? And so we just figured we could institutionalize all of that, and the more and
Love
more
it.
that we can take off of the chiropractor's plate that isn't chiropractic, the better. Let's go find people who love to sell our product,
Yeah.
right? That they love to be out there
Dude.
talking what we do. And that's what it was born out of. Our We continually strive to take as much off the chiropractor's plate that isn't chiropractic and give it to people who love to do it.
Genius. Dude, I'm glad we kept this conversation going. Uh future because you've been we talked about this offline before,
Yeah.
years ago people wouldn't even look at a slide deck for with a chiropractic and private equity and now what do you see as the next 20 years? Where's ChiroOne going? Where do you
Yeah.
think the profession's going and where do they merge and where do they diverge?
Yeah. I think there'll always be private practice. I don't think we're unique to that. I think the vast majority of chiropractic offices, I always call Jones Family Chiropractic is going to exist.
Yeah.
That's never going away. I do think that the institutionalizing of chiropractic is powerful.
Hmm.
It begins to raise the level of expectation. The analogy I use, like everybody knows what a McDonald's hamburger is, right? Not the
Yep.
best product, but you're never surprised when you're walking through an airport or you're in a different country and you order a McDonald's hamburger, you know exactly
We
what
just
you're
had
getting,
that thing. Me and my wife had that. We had to because we're like, we gotta do it, and then we're like, damn, it tastes the same.
right?
Like, yeah.
And every other hamburger, whether consciously or unconsciously, is measured against a fast food
Yes.
burger, right?
Yes.
And so we didn't set out to be the McDonald's. We set out to be the gold standard. But that's, you know, there are the McDonald's of chiropractic, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's bad for the profession. I think
No.
we're reaching a broader group of consumers, and depending on who you read, 15 to 20% of the population have had a chiropractic experience.
Yeah.
We're so focused on those 15 to 20% that we're ignoring the 80 to 85% that haven't,
Yeah.
right? And the more that we become ubiquitous and quote unquote normal and ordinary, that we're part of the fabric of healthcare, I think that's powerful. And you can't do that without scale. You can't do that without a unified message that everything else gets compared against. So I'm not going to shit on a chiropractor that does AK or has an acupuncture focused
Mm.
practice or is upper cervical. Kudos to you. That, great. Um, but I think that's going to become the periphery,
Mm-hmm.
and consumers. It happens in dentistry, right? So you could go to your general dentist, or you could go to the holistic dentist who's going to pull all your amalgam fillings out
Mm-hmm.
and treat you differently and not do a root canal. But there is a standard within dentistry. We don't
Yeah.
have that. We don't have a
It.
standard within chiropractic. And I
It.
think there's
It.
room for all of it. It's good
Yeah.
for the consumer. Patient facing standardization is good for the consumer.
I've seen PT in the last 5 years that, well, adopt an annual exam again. Like,
Yeah.
I really, really am. If we can get our shit together on that one thing, I think it changes everything because I think an annual exam, it's been proven in every other model. It makes sense. Um, and, you know, I just, I don't know why we can't get our shit together on that. But that'll be for some maybe other people to solve on that.
Right.
I think that you guys are, from a brand perspective. I've got to ask this question.
Yeah.
Challenge question. Um, Entry barrier of entry, $20 entry. This profession. There's people that will shit on that.
Yep.
Give me why you guys chose to go that model, and is that the
Yep.
model you think you guys will stay with for a while?
Um, yes and yes. So
I appreciate you doing it.
yeah, the biggest barrier to entry in healthcare is the first visit
Okay.
in any healthcare. That's what keeps the consumer from wanting to take action, is not knowing. Everybody knows the very first visit to the doctor is the most expensive.
Okay.
And you don't even know if you're going to
Why?
get a solution.
Yeah.
So where we started the conversation was, let's remove any obstacles from a patient saying yes.
Yeah.
And for us, if you look at the scale, it's millions of dollars of revenue that we don't go after, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just considered a marketing expense,
Mm-hmm.
right? That first visit typically is around $350 to $450
Mm-hmm.
that we're writing off in order to remove the obstacle from the patient coming in,
Yeah.
right? And we know that if we could get a patient in on our turf that we have a better opportunity of closing them to chiropractic and getting them to yes than convincing them that they should make that investment up front. You
Yeah.
know, Jay Abraham, you had mentioned, it's risk reversal.
Yep.
We'll take the risk on, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And that's I've listened to Jay for decades, and that's one of he goes
Yeah.
remove the risk.
Yeah.
And if you're that
Well,
certain in your
that might have been the
product,
most eloquent. That might have been the best answer I ever had. Every answer on this, so I appreciate that. Um,
and I
you,
don't think it cheapens the profession at all.
yeah, yeah. Um, you told me offline. And if we this is not live, and we can always edit. But
Yeah,
you went years ago and wanted to get together the joints, the other the other groups
yep,
because can you tell that story a little bit and just give me insights into that because of what your
yeah,
vision was with that, why you wanted to be protective there?
yeah. So this past Parker in March, previous to Parker, I sent out a bunch of emails to all of their multi-site operators, and the agenda was that purely business agenda, right?
Mm-hmm.
That as enterprise operators, we all are responsible to our shareholders to build enterprise value. And the quickest way for us to build enterprise value is to have other enterprises successfully exit and take on new
Mm-hmm.
investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then there are comparables in the market, and that's how we grow market share by raising the comps.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are unique problems to enterprises that are different than a solo practitioner. And so I sent out about 20 plus invitations to multi site operators and had 15 RSVP that they would be there. Nobody flat out said no. Most of them were, you know, I've got other things going on. And every single person showed up. And for sure, there was some hesitancy of what's the ulterior motive and why you really doing this. And once we got past that, we had a very vibrant, productive conversation, 3 hour conversation on what we need to do as an enterprise group, as
Mm-hmm.
multi site operators. And it was meaningful enough to have everybody commit to meeting again. And so we will meet at the FCA National in August. And the group's grown, right? There'll be
Yeah.
about 20 people there. So as part of the vision, there were two major things that as multi-site operators we need addressed. One, we need qualified students, graduates. So I don't think anybody's saying there aren't enough chiropractors. There's not enough qualified
Qualified.
chiropractors.
I'm 1,000%. Yes.
So we need the schools to step up,
Yeah.
right?
Oh. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
and
And we need to stop treating them as they're fucking like these or like they're churches or something like they're this that's what's driving me crazy. And we're doing like yeah, the shit
and
that's going on at
it's happening.
Sherman.
We
Yeah.
we opened up we opened up the first for-profit clinic on a chiropractic campus. So Carl Cleveland sees the vision, and we opened up last year a for-profit clinic on Cleveland's campus.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
So it's a
Brilliant.
ChiroOne clinic. Students get to come in and rotate through and
Chef's
see
kiss.
a for-profit clinic versus the student clinic.
Nice.
Then the second major thing, and this is a century-old argument, is we need a unified national association, right? And
Yep.
so in that room, we have the agreement that we're going to be agnostic to practice style.
Mm.
So we have a
Okay.
Rosti in there that has 100 plus offices that they don't even adjust. They're
Yeah.
not right. We have the Joint, who's the membership model, and other providers close to our model. But We're gonna be agnostic
Yeah.
to that. That that our needs are greater than having the same arguments we've been having for decades.
Yeah.
And so the ACA has stepped up. I had an initial conversation with them that they do have an interest in what the future will look like and giving multi site operators a voice in the ACA agenda as a special interest group. We'll see where it goes. But for the benefit of the profession, these multi site operators that have a focus on building
Mm-hmm.
enterprise value, and the key word there is value,
Yep.
is, I think, going to be the greatest mover. Like those companies in that room represent more than 3,000 doctors.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
almost greater than the ACA membership.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, with enterprises wanting to drive value, and you only drive value when you create a product that the consumer wants, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
exchanging, they're exchanging dollars for what we have to offer. And
Mm-hmm.
so, creating wildly successful large companies, I think our next investor in the next year and a half, we're going to be any roughly between a quarter billion and a $500 million of enterprise value.
Wow, dude. Yeah. I
And
see it.
and that's not, I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm saying
No.
we're building value for the
Yeah.
consumer that they're willing to exchange their hard-earned dollars for our product.
I can't believe anyone. I always laugh at these. You know, shooting inward. I mean, that's always the joke about the profession.
Yeah.
But it's like when they shit on the Joint or shit on even like that blog post I had about the. It's a fucking publicly traded company in chiropractic.
And no, I don't happen to agree with their model, right?
No, right.
But what I do,
You and I think alike, like, but we see the other bigger picture.
they got
Like,
900 plus offices.
yeah, yeah.
So,
They ain't hurting it. They ain't hurting the profession. Like,
and I got to tell you, it's super interesting. The Joint was there with their new CEO. My new CEO was in the room. They're about in the profession for about the same amount of time.
right.
And my CEO, his name is Adesh Ramchandran, he's like, just want to say that the two largest groups are both being run by Indians. And I'm like, well, you
That's
know,
great.
that might be true. But they're
That's
they're
awesome.
speaking chiropractic.
Yeah, dude. What a pleasure to jam with you.
Yeah, this is
Uh,
awesome.
I appreciate and just great storytelling and grateful for the time. I'm gonna kill the recording right now, but I want to thank you for